So y'all, during your revision work this week, I need to see that you are adding elaboration and evidence to each of your subtopic sections, even if you feel like you have plenty. So although I have already modeled this for you, I'm going to quickly model again how to add additional elaboration and evidence to your subtopic sections. So for this example, I'm going to use the giant panda since a lot of you are doing endangered species. So I'm going to use my research that I did on the giant panda instead of coral bleaching. So this subtopic that we're going to look at today is going to be on habitat destruction. And here's my topic sentence. Habitat destruction is one of the biggest dangers for giant pandas. So what I'm going to do when I sit down to look at my subtopic section and to decide where I'm going to add additional elaboration and evidence, what I want to do is I want to ask myself these questions. So I'm going to read over my subtopic section and I'm going to ask myself, what questions do I still have as the reader? Or what haven't I explained? So I want you to ask yourself those questions today. Read over each of your subtopics and ask yourself, what questions do I still have as a reader and what haven't I explained? So let's take a look at my subtopic section. So here's my subtopic section so far. Habitat destruction is one of the biggest dangers for giant pandas. That's my topic sentence. The majority of giant pandas inhabit the dense bamboo and coniferous or cone-bearing forests in the mountains of central China. Things like logging, agriculture, and urban development have destroyed parts of this forest, making it so that it's broken up into sections and doesn't have enough food for them. According to Sean Gallagher, researcher for the Pulitzer Center in China, habitat that meets the needs of the giant pandas has been declining. Overall habitat area decreased by 21% since 1988, and the average size of the continuous habitat decreased by more than 13% in the same period. The destruction of panda habitat has led to a decrease in their population. For example, giant pandas were common in the Guizhou and the Yan'an provinces as recent as the 1970s. However, logging divided their habitat into small sections. They were suddenly unable to get what they needed to survive. In this area today, giant pandas are rare. So here's my concluding sentence. Unless we're able to provide giant pandas with areas that are large enough to sustain their needs, we'll continue to see a drop in populations. So I'm going to ask myself, what are the questions that I still have as a reader, and what haven't I explained? So I noticed right here this word continuous habitat. And so one of the things that I was wondering, I'm going to move this down because I'm going to add my elaboration right here. My elaboration and evidence here is, what is continuous habitat? So that's my first question. And then I'm also wondering, how does having their habitat broken up, because I talk about that up here, how their habitat is broken up into sections. It's one of the things that I learned in my research. How does that actually hurt them? How does that make it hard for them to survive? So I did some research on these two questions, and I'm going to add some additional elaboration and evidence here. So the first question I'm going to look at is the continuous habitat. So let's look at my elaboration that I added here. So this is just from doing some research. So I researched what is continuous habitat and how does it affect giant pandas. A continuous habitat is a large area that is not divided into sections. This allows the animals to move freely throughout the whole area. When people started logging sections of the giant panda's habitat and building roads through it, it meant that their populations could not move freely throughout the whole area. They got stuck in sections. Imagine that someone built a barrier between each of the rooms in your home and you were suddenly stuck in one room. That's what happened to the giant panda habitat. So now I want to answer the question, how does having their habitat broken into sections make it hard for them to survive? So I found some research on this, but then I also found some evidence that I want to add. So I'm going to add this here. Giant pandas need continuous habitat for survival. The forests in central China provide giant pandas exactly what they need, lots and lots of bamboo. So here's my research, or my evidence that I'm going to add. Bamboo makes up 95% of their diet. However, this plant grows slowly. When giant pandas eat through an area of bamboo, they move on to a new area in the forest. If their habitat is divided and they're unable to access another part of the forest, they will struggle to find enough food to survive. So I have added multiple sections of elaboration and a piece of evidence just by asking myself the question, What questions do I still have as a reader? After I've read through my subtopic section, what questions do I still have? And then what haven't I explained? Then I'm going to go do some more research and learn more and add more to my subtopic sections. Okay, have fun.